Alrighty. Hello everyone, how's it going? Happy 8 p.m. And it's me, Richard. So let's see, today we're going to talk a little about overcoming social anxiety and depression. This is a special request by one of you, Richard De La Fuente, who's a YouTube subscriber, and he just wants to talk a little bit about how do we overcome social anxiety and depression. Along with this, we're going to do a little bit of Q&A, so feel free to drop your comments in the comments, and I'll be happy to chat with you, answer questions, and let's just have a conversation today. Brandon, good to see you on. Hello to you too. And yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions. Honestly, the best part of doing live videos, live streams, is the questions that I get and the interaction. Like that's seriously the best way we can have a great conversation is when you actually say something, and that helps me just connect and understand where people are at. So this conversation starter for today is again social anxiety and depression. A little quick note that this is the final live stream right before Christmas, so I will probably not be streaming for the next 3 nights because I have some holiday engagements with friends and family. So yes, let's make the most of this. Let's have fun tonight and let's chat. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up Richard's email. I believe he's open to sharing this because he shared this a few days ago, and apparently I didn't dive deeper into it. Um, so anyway, let's see. I'm gonna read this in a little bit, but pretty much, I think it's very a general. Let's see. So let's talk about social anxiety and okay, how do we? I guess the question really here, and Richard, if you want to hop in and kind of share your thoughts, you could share. What's your situation like? What's giving you like what are some situations that you've been in because that's going to help out anyone else who is struggling with social anxiety or depression. Feel free to just comment in the comments and let me know kind of what you're going through. That way we could support each other and just talk it out. One thing I want to let you know is if you're on Facebook, I got this question last time, like, hey, how come there's something wrong? I don't see the questions that people are posting. It's because I'm streaming on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. So for me, I love it because that way we have more questions and content to work with. So also, I just have awesome communities on both my YouTube channel as well as my personal Facebook page. So yes, that's awesome. That's what I enjoy about it. Alrighty, so okay, just being good to see you on, and no face. Let's see. I will answer your question in just a second. You know what? I'll answer your question first, and then we'll dive into Richard's De La Fuente's question about social anxiety and depression right afterwards. Okay, Jose, good to see you on as well. No face says, "How do you stop caring about what people think? How do I stop caring about what people think about me?" Really, let's see. Ooh, this is I gotta think a little bit about this one. It's a little bit is just a choice. It's goodness. You know what? Sorry. I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna hold off on this question for a second. Okay. No face. Sorry about that. The reason is because I want to make sure I answer Richard De La Fuente's question because he's kind of been waiting for this for like 2 days, and he was like he was really looking forward to me answering this question. Richard, if you're on, let me know. That way I know that you're on. Or you know what? Sorry, I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but Richard, comment if you're on. That way I know you're on so I could give you the answer live. Okay, so I'm gonna actually pause on social anxiety depression for just a second and I'll answer questions. And then if Richard doesn't show up, even though he said he would, that's okay. And I'm gonna talk about social anxiety and depression anyway, and he can watch the video later. But I'll give him a few minutes to respond just to make sure I can do my best to make sure he's on. Alrighty. So no face again. Let's. How do we stop caring about what other people? How do we stop caring? How do we stop caring about what people think about us? Right. Uh, let's see. I feel like this is my gut answer. My gut answer is that really it starts with self acceptance. It starts with looking at yourself and just accepting yourself for who you are. Allowing your true personality to shine. Let's say you have, let's say you have this quirky personality where you're kind of random and whatever it is, but you're afraid to kind of show that off because you're afraid of being judged. I think once we accept ourselves, once we embrace our own self, our own personality, then in that case, it's like we stop caring about what other people think about us. So, it's like once we accept ourselves, we know we no longer need to seek validation from other people. We could just be ourselves. I'm trying to figure out a good personal example for myself. Uh, I would say something similar. It might be a little bit different from maybe some other cases, but I would say a huge part of myself is being vulnerable. It's being very real. It's sometimes it's being brutally honest. It's not always. There are parts where I kind of assess the situation and I'm like, okay, there's no point mentioning that because people just get offended. But for the most part, like sometimes I'm having a conversation with strangers and I'll be brutally honest. I remember one time I was at a wedding and some guy was talking for a very long time. And I had a goal. Like I saw a cute girl and I want to go talk to her. And like in that moment, there's a part of me that's like, okay, well, I don't want to hurt this guy's feeling. He is talking a lot. But at the end of the day, I just realized, I have a certain objective and I'm not gonna let anyone stop me from doing that. So what did I do? I, politely said, hey, please, whatever, please forgive me. I gotta go to the restroom and I gotta go talk to that girl over there because she's cute. So my point is like, this is not the exact same situation, but I hope there's some parallels that you could draw from it. And really, what I'm saying is like, sometimes for me that is that brutal honesty. Like my old self would have been like, oh man, I'm too shy, maybe I shouldn't go talk to her because I'm talking to this guy and that's rude to lead this conversation. But so for me that was an act of not caring what other people think about and just doing it. It's I did it politely, but I still did it, if that makes sense. I want to dig a little bit deeper. I don't feel like I hit the point on your question yet. So I'm going to dig deeper into how do we stop caring about what other people think about us. So I'm trying to. I need to think. I'm a very visual person, so I need like a visual of this. Let's see. Okay. So I need to think about a moment where in my life where did I give zero Fs about something. Um, Specifically. Okay. Hold on, I want to pick like a really like good example that's wholesome that tackles this point that brings this home. If anyone has any suggestions or like own personal stories, I'd love to hear your stories where you just didn't care about what other people thought about you and you just did it. Honestly, I feel like part of it is it takes a little bit of courage. It's just going for it. Like what, just saying screw it. I'm just gonna just go for it, and I'm just gonna be myself, and I'm not gonna worry about what other people think about me, and just being content with who you are. That's a very almost like a blanket statement. It's very easy to say that, but let's talk about. I want to think about a scenario. I feel like stories always drive a point home. A point where I didn't care what other people thought about me. Something that I wanted to do. Mm-mm-mm. Didn't care what other people thought about me. Goodness, I just want to like. I feel like I have so many stories, but like I can't pinpoint one right now. But we get to. But I also don't want to waste too much time thinking about it too. But we get to. So we're gonna figure this out. So I'm just gonna dig through my little story library of when did I not care what other people thought about me. Goodness, what is? Someone help me out here, please. Start talking in front of class. Okay, here. I want to read comments that might trigger something for me. Brandon says I probably would say talking in front of the class. Sometimes like big group talks some days. Hold on, did I miss something? No, I didn't. And then Jose says I need to learn how to relate to others. What would you recommend? Okay, we'll get to that question right after. Tuan, good to see you on. Hey, thanks for hopping on. Tuan, that's funny. I was thinking about you a few days ago, and just appreciating, like the chats that we had when we first became friends and how you kind of reached out to me. So thank you very much for that. Let's see. Alrighty. So Tuan, I actually want to ask you a question if you're hanging out for just a second. The question that someone is asking is how do we stop caring about what other people think about us? So I feel like you would be a good person to ask about this, and if anyone else has an answer, I would love to hear. I'm trying to please help me out here. I could use a little support right now. I'm a little stuck with this. I know. Let's see. as you're typing in an answer, I'm gonna try to figure out this because I know there's an answer. I can't find it right now. I talked about self acceptance. I talked about courage. Let's see. Yes, the question is, how do we stop caring what other people think about us? Hmm. So that's a question. Anyone, the door is open. If anyone has an answer, feel free to answer. Again, the question is, how do we stop caring what other people think about us? Oh goodness, like I feel like it's kind of been a while. Um, there are some situations where I do still care. Not that I'm trying to care, but it's like those evaluating the situation and like there's a balance for me. So there's for the most part, I feel like I'm pretty comfortable just being myself and not worrying about what other people think about me. But there's certain situations, for example, when I go to high schools and speak, I'm not going to swear on stage. It's just that's probably not a good move. There is a possibility I might integrate, quote unquote, being my true authentic self and start swearing, but I'm not quite ready for that. Like I would rather, for now, respect the space and respect that the people who hire me to speak probably don't want me to swear on stage in front of, their teenage audience and stuff like that. So that's an area that I don't go into. I do drop a few, curse words on these live streams sometimes. I try to limit them as well because I also know there's a young audience and whatever, some people watching. So I'm trying to find that balance still. Okay. I'm so stuck on this one. Hey, Richard De La Fuente, are you on? Shoot me a message if you're on because we're kind of waiting for you to talk about social anxiety and depression. So let us know when you're on, and then if you're not on yet, then we're just gonna dive straight in and go into social anxiety and depression anyway. All right. So Tuan says, I remind myself. So the question again is, how do we stop caring about what other people think about us? Tuan says, I remind myself, I do care about what others think about me. It always took me down a path. Wait, it always took me down a path, took me away from me, made me doubt myself. Let's see. I'm not perfectly clear on this one. So I remind myself I do care about what others think of me. So you care about what others think of you. It always took me down a path, took me away from me. Let's see. And then I also think about when I'm on fire and connected me. I'm not clear, Tuan. Not 100% clear on that one. Okay. Confidence is key in not caring. Tangerine Love says confidence is key in not caring. So, um, yeah. You know what? I like that answer. That's a good direction to go. And I'm sorry we've been talking about this for 5 minutes and it hasn't gotten too far. But I like that point. So, how do we stop caring about what other people think about us? I think when we're confident in ourselves, I think that's self-acceptance as well. But when we're confident in ourselves and who we are, then we don't really need that validation. So I think that goes back to the same point. I'm going to leave it at that for now, and let's continue this conversation as the chat goes on. Feel free, Tuan, feel free to keep dropping your wisdom on us, and anyone else that has thoughts on how do we stop caring what other people think about us. Drop your comments in the comments, and we'll come back to this conversation. As long as we got comments around it. Alrighty. Again, Richard, if you hop on, Richard De La Fuente, let me know if you hop on. If not, then we'll answer the topic of social anxiety and depression in just a second after we get through some questions. Let's see. All right, Jose Reyes says, I need to learn how to relate to others. What would you recommend me do? So if you want to learn how to relate with others, the first thing that pops in my mind is listening. I think listening is probably one of the most important things we can do as human beings. I think it's like the best speakers are the best listeners. That's what they say. And listening is so important. Listening equals understanding. Listening equals being able to connect and relate with other people. So if you're having a hard time relating with people, I think sometimes we need to kind of like shut our mouth a little bit and just listen. Listen to how other people are speaking. Listen to what interests other people. Ask questions. And it's almost like find ways to be interested in other people. And for me, I guess I have a little I'm a little bit of a cheater in this way because not like a cheater, but like I'm very lucky in the sense that I have this genuine interest and curiosity in how other people think. So I love meeting new people because I'm always digging around trying to understand how do other people's minds work. You know, it doesn't matter where you people are in their lives. That was weird. Um, like let's say there are super successful people. I want to pick their brain and understand what makes them successful, what gives them that drive. Let's say there's people who are struggling with depression and anxiety and stuff like that. You know, not to say those are complete opposites, but people who are struggling with anxiety and depression, I'm super curious, you know, how did you get to where you are? You know, what's causing this anxiety? And sometimes people aren't super self-aware, and that's where I like digging a little bit deeper. Like, okay, give me some examples. What are some situations in your life where you felt this anxiety? When do you feel anxiety, right? When have you felt depressed? Have you felt depressed your whole entire life, or is this something more recent? What do you feel like are some situations that causes your depression? And for me, like being answering these questions to help me understand other people allows me to relate with them better. And I guess another thing that would help us relate with each other, or you know, learn about other people, is working on our self awareness. I think Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this a lot. Who's, if you don't know who Gary Vee is like one of the like big public figures in the entrepreneur space. Like everyone in entrepreneurship knows who Gary Vee is. Um, so let's see. So Gary Vee says like self awareness is probably one of the most important skills that you can develop, and I agree to some extent. I think self awareness is so important. It's self awareness is the ability to assess ourselves and understand kind of like our strengths and weaknesses, uh, and also just be aware of the way we are showing up in the world and how other people perceive us. And it's like this when we are self aware, like when we start talking to other people, we can start picking up on when people feel awkward, when people think when other people feel like you're talking too much, when other people want you to keep talking, or when other people understand that you're listening to them. You know, all these different things. So self awareness is really big if you want to relate with other people. Continue to just work on self awareness. You know, not only self awareness but social awareness too. It's just being aware in general. Just sometimes our mind works so quickly and our mind gets so clouded with all these ideas that we were like, oh my goodness, like I'm so confused, this is so overwhelming. And I think the solution to stop feeling so overwhelmed in social settings, we're diving a little bit closer into social anxiety right now, the trick is to just slow down. You know, I think school, I don't know, this is my experience of school. When I went to school, you know, when I was in high school, middle school, college, all that stuff, my mind was constantly racing and like, how do I study for this class and that class? And you know, there's all these professors. You know, I got this class for 45 minutes. You know, and then I got to absorb all this information, and then so it's so overwhelming. And the way we learn is not by overwhelming our minds. The way we learn is by slowing down the pace so our minds can pick up and digest what the heck we're learning. Like that's where I think learning is. So what's another good example? Let's talk about consuming information to learn. So it could be a class, it could be watching YouTube videos, it could be listening to a podcast or reading a book. So before, I used to feel so stupid because I was like, man, I feel so dumb because whenever I read a textbook, it doesn't make sense to me. You know, I can't absorb the information. I feel so stupid because when I read a book, I'm like super ADHD. Like I can't focus on reading a book. It doesn't interest me. Like I remember reading Harry Potter, you know, The Chamber of Secrets, the first book when it first came out, when I was in the fifth grade, and the whole entire class was reading it, and we would do what was that? We would read Harry Potter as a whole entire class, and I remember looking at, you know, reading it, and I couldn't, like, people were reading out loud, and my mind could not absorb who the heck Hermione is and Harry Potter and, you know, Dumbledore. Like, who are these people? I couldn't put a picture to who these people were. I couldn't imagine their voice and them talking about it. So as the class was reading it, in my mind, it was completely blank. It was like I couldn't imagine this whole story playing out. So I felt really stupid. And I think really the reason for that is because my mind was trying so hard to catch up with everyone else, and I felt so inadequate that it got lost in confusion. So if I went back and I tried to read Harry Potter, that same book, I think all I really need to do is kind of be honest with myself and be like, okay, Richard, slow down. Stop trying to read as quickly as everyone else. Just slow down so you can understand what the heck you're learning, or the story. So that's one thing. And the second thing is, honestly, in terms of learning information, I learned from very specific sources today. Like when I learn information today, I only learn from sources that I understand. Like I listen to modern day podcasts. I'm not much of a classical reader because classical books are really boring for me. Like I can't absorb the information. It's confusing to me. Now I don't want to make that a limiting belief. It's just it is possible that I eventually consume more classic information, like stuff that was written hundreds and thousands of years ago, like The Art of War, or what else is really big, Think and Grow Rich. These are books that I tried reading and my mind just got super bored and I couldn't relate with it. So, but those are super popular books that everyone's like, dude, you got to read this. This is so life changing. So for now, I'm focusing on content and having almost other people interpret the book for me and consuming that content because it makes more sense to me. But I'm also eventually want to work on the skill of being able to understand more older literature, more classic stuff, because that's a cool skill. So talking about relating, how do we relate with other people is self-awareness and self-awareness and listening. Those are the top two things in my opinion. Omar, good to see you on, and Faye, good to see you on as well. Let's see. So, whoops. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, we are good. All right. I see your comments, everyone. I'm going to, just if I haven't acknowledged you, it's because I haven't got to that comment yet. So, let's see. Just Ping says, Richard, you are getting popular, man. So many people on. It's a handful. It's a handful. This is not, but I think it's humble. But let's see. I do appreciate the comment, and most important thing really is just the engagement. As the most important thing is like let's connect deeper and let's have good conversation. Just Being says, how can we be popular among others? Any advice? I'm not trolling. I want to know. So how do we be popular amongst others? I feel like there's two versions of being popular. I feel like there's being popular for superficial reasons, and there's being popular for more genuine reasons. But the fact that you're asking, how do we be popular? No offense, but it leads me to feel like you're asking, like, I'm not putting you down for this, but it's like, if you're asking how to be popular, really that leads into being superficial. Like, the purpose of wanting to be popular really is for validation. And I really don't think we should be focusing on trying to be popular so we get validated and people, whatever, respect us and we feel good about ourselves. That's just my own belief. I think if you are to be popular, you should be popular because you are being your true, genuine self. That is the harder route, but I think that's a more rewarding route. So I'm just going to straight up advise. I'll give you some pointers on how to be popular in general. Again, I'm not an expert on this. I really am not. But I'll give you the superficial route if that's your flavor. By the way, I'm not trying to, what's that word? I'm not trying to like put this down. I'm not like putting it down on a pedestal, if that makes sense. Like I'm not trying to put it down, this whole superficial, because superficial sounds very offensive, if that makes sense. And I'm not trying to do that. So let's talk about the genuine route. Genuine route, how do you be popular being the genuine route? Really, I feel like, if I'm being completely honest, I feel like everyone has a different personality. And some personalities just naturally shine and attract more people than others. But that does not mean that they're better than other people. It just means that they're more outgoing or, they're more whatever, funny and stuff like that. Another thing that I respect about quote unquote funny people, outgoing people, is well, one, it's a personality, but two, what I respect about it is like they've figured out in a very young age how to get over their like. A lot of times they figured out how to kind of get past their insecurities. Not all of them. There's a ton of insecurities still, but they've learned to accept their personalities earlier on than a lot of us shy people. Like I consider myself a very shy person, or I used to be very shy, so it took me a long time to break out of that shell. So that's something we can learn from more outgoing people is, how to stop caring what other people think about us. Just freaking do it. Have fun, be yourselves. Um, if you want to learn, there we go. We're backtracking a bit, but the answer to how do we stop caring about what other people think about us is you freaking just be yourself. You just choose to be yourself and stop caring. I think that is a very basic answer, but I believe that's the answer right there. It's literally a choice. So we just answered the question, after 10 minutes of talking about how do we stop caring about ourselves, I just answered it unintentionally, what is it? 20 minutes later. Okay. Let's see. So, okay. Hey, Just Being, let's continue on with your question. Um, let's see. So, how do we be popular amongst other people? Honestly, okay. So, a little bit on the superficial side, I think it's like, trying to be that funny person, be positive, that kind of stuff. Um, and a lot of people, sometimes people put on a mask, and try to be that funny people, connect with people, but it becomes a little bit inauthentic, and you're not going to enjoy that piece of it. Now, let's talk about the slightly cleaner side of being quote unquote popular. Really, I think I don't like this idea of trying to be popular, but if you want to go towards that route, honestly, I feel like a big part of being popular is caring about other people. It's uh, being a whatever leader, example, you know, showing people, leading people in some way, whether it's uh, whatever. I'm sure this is a tough one. You got to build your social skills. Build up social skills, and I want to say treat people with respect. That's not even that superficial, really. But that's all I could really give. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Alrighty. Callie Day says, I don't think we actually stop caring about what other people think about us. I always acknowledge the fact that they don't know everything about me and the situation that I deal with. So if their opinion doesn't help me, I choose not to let it affect me. If it helps me, I'm very grateful. I like that. So Callie says, I'm going to summarize that a little bit. Callie says that she doesn't feel like we actually stop caring about what other people think about us. I let's see, how do I say this? Yeah, I mean I agree. I agree. I feel like there's different contexts to this. Like, how do I say this? I feel like the ultimate goal for each person, okay, for myself, is to be so comfortable with myself to the point where I don't care about what other people think about me. Um, but yes, I still do care. I care about people, and I do care about being respectful for people. So I don't want to not care about myself so much where I'm starting to disrespect people. I think that's the part when I care. If I know my carefreeness of not giving any F's is like, I'm like, I'm going to be myself. I don't care about what other people think about me. Um, like if I know it's going to offend other people, I'm going to try not doing it out of respect. So that's a good additional thought. So thank you, Callie. Oh, hey, Richard. Richard's on. All right, sounds good. So Richard De La Fuente is on, which means we are going to talk about the topic of this conversation. Let's see. Let me try again. Yes, self confidence. So while working on maintaining a strong level. Okay, cool. So here's what I'm gonna do. Whoa! Oh goodness. All right. So Richard, your topic is next. We're going to talk about social anxiety and depression. As soon as I read this comment from Tuan just sent like a huge uh, comment on how do we not care about what other people think about us. So I'm going to read this to wrap up that conversation, and then we're going to jump into social anxiety and depression. So Tuan says, let's see, sorry, internet is in and out, so not everything's going through. Let me try again. Okay. So Tuan says, in order for us to stop caring about other people, it's about self confidence. So while working on and maintaining a strong level of self confidence, I also remind myself that people's opinions come from their own stories, even if they are someone who is genetically related to you. I remind myself that when people have an opinion of me, it is really a window into their own minds and where they come from. So I want to summarize what we've read so far. So Tuan is essentially saying he doesn't care about how other people judge him, because he understands when people judge him, it's nothing personal to him. Instead, it is actually uh, the other person's own perspective, because everyone creates their own perspective of their life. So that's what I'm getting. Okay, and then continuing on what Tuan is saying, Tuan Nguyen from Facebook, by the way, not for me to judge them at all, but rather to just know that when they speak an opinion, even if it's so called out of love, it is still a reflection of where they've been, where they succeeded, where they failed, and perhaps what they feel about themselves. Some may try to put you down, and some may try to protect you. So whether one's opinion is positive or negative, that's just a moment of expression on their part. On the side of self-confidence, for me, every time I do something that feels completely aligned with who I am, I deliver great results and I attract the right people into my life. And those that do not understand or resonate with my energy, story, ways, they'll have their opinions. Some I will inspire greatly, and I wish them well, and I'm grateful for their support, but I've learned to practice generating my energy from within. As in, many people love positive opinions and feedback, they build energy momentum from that. The danger behind this is trained to brain to care and rely on it. After learning that I was doing this my entire life, I had to learn how to once again generate the energy from within and not depend on anyone for that boost or have anyone bring me down. Hal Elrod's morning savers, that's silence, affirmations, visualizations, exercise, reading, scribing, is a great way to get to that position. And for me, the savers is a great any time of the day. Anytime of the day. It's great any time of the day. Awesome. I think this English is my third language, so I hope I've expressed myself clearly enough. Okay, so I'm going to summarize. So I'm going to do two things. Number one, I'm going to summarize what Tuan just shared with us. And for anyone who's watching on YouTube, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy and paste. I'm going to log on YouTube right now, and I'm going to copy and paste what he wrote so you can see his, you can read it if you didn't catch everything that I just said, okay? So I'm logging on YouTube right now on my desktop. There we go. Oh, oh goodness, I can't copy and paste it because there's a 200 character limit. That's really annoying. And his writing was 1900 characters. Yeah. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. I don't think I'm going to right now. Okay, so I'll just summarize what Tuan said, or what I took away from Tuan. So Tuan, thank you very much for sharing with us your thoughts. Essentially, what I took away from Tuan's comments about how do we stop caring about what other people think about us. His point number one that I took away was that just know if so we care about other people because we're afraid of being judged. And what Tuan is saying is don't worry about feeling judged, because if someone judges you, if someone says, ooh, you're weird for doing that, or I don't like the way you do that, all that is just a reflection of themselves. It's a reflection of their own values based off how they were raised. So don't worry about it. It's nothing personal to you. You do you. You continue to just be yourself, and don't worry about other people. Their opinions are just their opinions. It has nothing to do with you. Point number two is I love Tuan's point of just talking about how once upon a time he used to feed off of people's positive energy. Feed off people saying, "Hey, Tuan, like great job. You're doing such an amazing job." And in a way, I could relate with that because I make these Facebook lives, and sometimes people are like, "Hey, dude, Richard, great job," and stuff like that. But what Tuan is saying is, it's okay to feed off that positive energy, but the end goal should really be to not depend on other people to feel positive, to not depend on other people to get that like that happy the boost of happiness. You know that like oh oh I feel so good because other people are saying that I'm great. You know instead what we get to do is find that energy, that positive energy from within ourselves. So we want to create this self-sustaining cycle of creating everything from within versus getting it externally. Because what's going to end up happening is if we keep trying to look for that, I'm going to call it validation from the outside source. Like if I keep reaching out to you to try to feel good about myself, it's I think I feel like I'm going to be eventually disappointed. As in, um, it's like the purest source of that positive energy is going to come from within us. It's I feel great when you give me positive compliments and things like that, but I agree with Tuan. I think there's a deeper level of just internal satisfaction that I get to work on and just love myself and be like, yo, Richard, like you're doing a great job, and I got to dig deeper and find that. Same thing goes for you. You get to dig deeper and kind of find that internal love and internal validation from yourself versus looking for it outwards. And the last thing that I'm picking up is a great practical tool in order to kind of build up that positive self-talk internally is using the Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And he has a structure called Savers where you wake up 1 hour earlier. I know that sounds miserable to some of you, but it's like totally worth it because in this hour, you do a morning ritual and it's going to help you like set up your whole entire day and make you feel super positive about yourself, all that good stuff. Savers again, that's just check out Miracle Morning, themiraclemorning.com or something like that. Just Google search it, Miracle Morning. So Savers stands for S for silence or meditation, A for affirmations, V for visualizations, E for exercise, R for reading, and then the last S is for scribing or journaling. That's a process that that I've used for a while. I've adapted my own version of it. So, all right, cool. So that's the how do we stop caring about what other people think about us. And now let us dive into social anxiety and depression. Just being, I see it looks like you have a question. I will answer that afterwards. I don't want to keep Richard waiting because it's already 37 minutes in and we haven't answered the question. So let's dive into it. How do we overcome social anxiety and depression? Let's see. This is a big topic. This is a vague one. So I work very well off stories. So I would love that. Take care, Tuan. Thanks so much for hopping on. So social anxiety. So let's say we get into a social setting. Let's say I'm just gonna say we're in social setting. So I'll give two examples. Whatever social settings that you normally get into. I know we have a lot of students on right now, so for any students, think about you're hanging out with your friends during lunchtime or whatever after school. And for people who aren't students anymore and they've graduated, maybe you're hanging out with friends, colleagues, stuff like that. And we feel anxious. We're like, what do I say? I don't know what to do. And we're afraid to speak up. So how do we get over that social anxiety? I'm going to be honest. I'm not an expert. Like I'm not a psychologist. I don't know all the details. I'm not a sociologist either. I don't know all the details of it. But based off my own personal experiences, which is you can judge for yourself how reliable that is. I'm going to say that with social anxiety, like how we improve our social anxiety and like not feel so much stress. It takes practice. It takes a little bit of courage. When I say it takes practice, it's like if you feel really uncomfortable in social settings, I feel like the way to improve it is to start pushing yourself a little bit, to talk a little bit more. And another thing is don't shy away from failure. Allow yourself to fail. Like embrace failure. Go woohoo. If you fail, celebrate. If you fail, it doesn't mean you fail. Failure means that it was an opportunity for you to learn. So if you feel like you got rejected, like there's so many different thoughts here. If you feel like you got rejected, like celebrate. Like it's okay to get rejected. So the reason I'm going to give you my opinion, this is all opinion. The reason I believe why we feel social anxiety is because we are afraid of being judged or rejected. And let's break this down even further. Why do we feel judged or rejected? The reason why we feel judged or rejected is probably because in our history we have been judged and rejected. So a lot of times it's by our parents, or sometimes friends from our childhood, or it could be both. It could be a combination of things. It could be other extended family members or friends that didn't make us feel very accepted. And what happens is when we grow up in this environment where we are not accepted for who we are, what ends up happening is we start feeling very scared to open up. We start feeling like it's not okay to be ourselves. And when we don't feel like it's okay to be ourselves, we're going to continue to act scared because we're afraid that other people are going to judge us. However, I want you to imagine that you grew up in an environment where you had the most loving, supportive parents. You had, like everyone was like, dude, like imagine you're the same exact person. You're the same exact person, but like as a child, not today. So imagine you're the same whoever you are. I'm gonna go with Richard De La Fuente. Imagine you're a young child, and imagine instead of whatever parents you have right now, I don't know how they're like, but imagine if you had these quote unquote perfect parents, the parents that like they're like, I believe in you. You were so great. Like I love the way you talk to people. I love the way you care for people. You're such a wonderful person, and like imagine if you had that support. And imagine if you went to school and every single teacher and every single student, one of all your classmates, like, dude, you're so cool, man. Like I love you, man. You're the best. So just imagine if you if your environment was like 100% positive. I know that's not realistic, but just imagine. And do you think that your social anxiety would still be there if everyone supported you? You know, the answer, I'm just gonna go out on a limb here. I'm pretty sure the answer is no. If everyone in your life was super supportive, you would not be having your social anxiety because you would have a safe space to feel safe, comfortable, supported. And um, I really think that's the difference between people who struggle with social anxiety and people who feel whatever you want to say, like confident in social settings. It's people who are comfortable in social settings. I mean, there's several ways that you can learn. One is they grew up in a very supportive environment, or a lot of people who are comfortable in social settings also don't come from a supportive environment, but they learn early on how to stop caring what other people think about them and stop like taking everything so personally and feel judged and things like that. They just learn to just be free. So that's a skill. It's like it took me a very long time. I'm 28 years old. I struggled a lot with like feeling very anxious. I guess you can call it social anxiety. Very shy, very insecure in social settings. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like everyone else was better than me. So that was my story for my whole life. Definitely the first 23 years of my life, and even from 23 to 28, the last 5 years of my life, it was still an upward struggle. It was like this. It was a struggle, but I kept going up, and then I go back down. Feeling insecure, and then go back up, down, and I'm at this point where I'm not perfect, but I'm more comfortable. I'm definitely more comfortable in social settings. So, by the way, Richard De La Fuente, if you're on, like, if you got questions, if you want me to dig deeper, like, ask questions, please. Like, this is, I can't help you if I don't know what your challenges are. So, I'm pointing out Richard because he's the one who requested this question, and this whole we could talk. This whole topic could be focused on you. So that's what we're here for. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Like literally, this is how we are going to learn and grow. And this is a safe space for us. This is a space where we can share and just talk about whatever challenges we have. All of us have challenges. So let's talk about let's work through it. Okay, so that's social anxiety. What else do I have to say about social anxiety? Social anxiety. I mean, there's more to it. Like I know people who get panic attacks when they're in social settings. I don't get panic attacks. I just get super shy and insecure. But I know people, that happens. People get panic attacks and like they don't know how to socialize. And like that's I don't know how to say it. First of all, that's okay. Again, so I'm gonna speak speak about this person that I know who has panic attacks. This person struggled a ton with social anxiety, like a ton, super, super insecure, suicidal, committed or attempted suicide several times, at least three. The person I'm specifically thinking in my head. And um, T, what's up, T? Happy birthday, brother. Good to see you on. Thanks for hopping on. Yeah, everyone, if you can, say happy birthday, T. T. Pierre White is on Facebook. Show him some love. So let's see what we got here. What we got. Okay, so back to the story. So I have a friend again who struggles massively with social anxiety. To the point where she whatever hyperventilates and like sometimes like she gets panic attacks. Like I don't know the exact details, but sometimes she like will pass out and stuff in social settings because it makes her so nervous. And then again, she had those. She attempted suicide several times. She is a survivor, and then she's kind of turned her life around from what I know so far. But anyway, I feel like what supported her through her journey of social anxiety. I know she did take medication. By the way, she's open to me sharing this because she's already made this all public. Um, let's see. I know she did take medications. And I know, not everyone wants to take medications, which is perfectly okay. Uh, so, I mean, she did therapy, and for her, she had a hard time making that work out. But yeah, she kept pushing through it. And what helped her get over her depressive thoughts and her social anxiety was poetry. Was just finding an outlet to express herself. I think that's probably one of the best ways you can do it. I am a huge believer in that like natural remedy, those natural sources of healing. So instead of taking medicine, I don't. Medicine can help. I've seen it help. I have most definitely seen medicine help. I could totally relate with it, and I'm like, sometimes medicine is a good idea. But if you don't want to go the medicine route, and you want to keep pushing through and figure out how do you do this naturally, whatever, you got to express your emotions. You have to have an outlet. Like if you bottle up your emotions and you keep that in, guess what? Your social anxiety and your depression is going to keep escalating. It's going to keep rising. It's not going to go away. Like that is what it is. Okay, so Richard says I am taking meds and it's not working. Okay, there's a few things here. So I believe meds are quote unquote supposed to work. Meds is a very tricky thing to talk about because I've experienced it firsthand, from people that I love very close to me. I've watched the whole entire journey of medication not working. I've seen people that I love very closely. I've seen them struggle with anxiety. I've seen them say things like, "Do you want me to kill you?" I have seen them lose complete hope in their life, and I've seen them change and flip their life around 180. Like, and it's funny because what actually helped change their life 180 was changing the medication. So medication can work. Like again, this loved one, I won't say who right now, but this loved one that's someone very, very close with me was taking the wrong medication. I thought the psychiatrist was great. I'm like, oh, she looks like she knows what she's doing. She's making little incremental improvements, and then all of a sudden, she just happened to switch psychiatrists. I think that psychiatrist was great, but she switched psychiatrists, and guess what? She just got better because she changed her medication. So my point is, yes, I do believe there is a chance. I can't guarantee anything, but there's a chance that changing medications might help. But I don't want to put a huge promise on that. Seriously, like that's such a touchy subject. It's so I don't know how to say it, like political or whatever you want to say. Like this health system is so complicated. So I don't want to put a promise on that. So let's talk about the other strategies. Um, Goodness, oh my goodness, like I'm going back to memories of this loved one and working through that struggle of anxiety and depression and stuff. Like it was serious stuff. So Richard, I don't know what kind of where you are at right now, but chances are I can relate. I just connected the dots in a way that how you might be feeling, because I watched someone go through this process and it was not pretty at all. Like it was scary. I was highly super stressed out and yeah. So anyway, what do I want to say here? Anxiety, depression. So changing medication could help, but honestly, that's like to the grace of your psychiatrist if you have a psychiatrist. But let's talk about the other side. So emotional release, honestly, a huge part of like I don't know how to say like depression gets really serious. I get it. Like it can be a very scary place. It's like it's hard to connect with ourselves and I'm sure if anyone has a therapist or anything like that, they might have told you if you're feeling sad, depressed, what you get to do is create a schedule. And honestly, that's probably one of the most helpful things that I've seen that help this loved one of mine. Um, when when this person created a schedule, it helped change her mindset. It helped her focus less on the negativity and focus more on the positive. And I've seen like night and day, like such huge changes when she finally decided to follow a schedule. That's positive. That's every single day waking up at a certain time, going to sleep at a certain time, exercising every single day. Um, just having things to do so you're not focusing on the negative energy. Again, that's one part of it, and I've been through many, followed this person, this loved one on a huge journey of many therapy appointments and stuff like that. So like I get it. What else do I want to say here? Yeah, I'm gonna go back to release. If you got, I'm gonna use a rare swear word here. If you got a lot of shit in your mind and a lot of these negative thoughts, you gotta release, let it go. You gotta create or find an outlet. If you're feeling that anxiety and that depression, have an outlet where you could healthily just let it go. I used to write a lot, journaling. Journaling helps a ton. It helps me process. It helps me just release all that negative energy. I don't know. I don't know. Everyone has a different outlet. Maybe it's talking to friends. But honestly, when we're feeling depressed and we have social anxiety, it's not very easy to talk to friends openly, especially when we feel like we're going to be judged, right? So if you have a friend that's willing to listen, awesome. If you don't, like I don't know, like hop on here. I'm schedule some time. Let's do a Skype call or whatever. Like I'm open to this stuff. So if you're struggling, like let me know. And now's a great time because I'm on winter break, so I got a little bit of time. Let's chat seriously. Richard, anyone else? So that's what I have. Like connect with each other. And I know maybe that's still a little bit of the uncomfortable zone, but feel free to connect with each other. If anyone wants to help and support each other, say, hey, what's up? You can talk to me. I've been through this situation too, or maybe I'm struggling with it too. Let's talk. Whatever. Like this is what we're all here for. Oh goodness, my computer froze. Oh goodness. Let's see what do I want to do here. Okay, that's unfortunate. Alrighty. So I'm gonna continue this conversation right now while I reset my computer. Okay. So, what do I want to say here? Social anxiety. There we go. Release and create schedules. Talk it out. Just create a positive schedule where you can just focus and keep moving forward. Let's talk about depression. How do we overcome depression? I think it's the same thing. We got. I know it's super difficult. I get it. I know it almost seems impossible to let go those negative thoughts. But we get to start focusing on the positive stuff. And I don't. Part of me almost feels like I'm preaching to the choir. I know you get it already, but really, it's like I'm going to go back to that the angel and the devil on our shoulders. The devil on our shoulders, which I call Felicia, is going to continue talking all this negative stuff. It's going to continue making you feel all negative, in your life. And again, it's not about ignoring, pretending it's not there, because yes, Felicia is there. Your that devil voice is there. acknowledge and say, yo, I understand you're there. I understand. I get it, but I don't want to listen to you. I don't want to be negative. So I'm going to put you in the back of my mind, in that little cottage back there. I don't want to deal with you. It's going to keep, hey, come on, man. Come hang with me, bro. And in that moment, you're like, no, it's cool. Like, I understand you're going to keep coming back. I know it's going to be tough, and, I miss you too, but you get to hang out back there. I'm going to listen to the positive angel voice, whatever you want to name it. And you just got to keep focusing on that. And don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up if you're like, oh man, I felt so disappointed. I tried really hard, and the voice keeps coming back. It's so tough. And here's another thing. Sometimes that negative voice is so strong that we don't know how to get rid of it. And I've been there. I was there 2 weeks ago. I felt super down on myself. Mr. Richard, possibly that positive, optimistic guy. Guess what? I struggle with it too. 2 weeks ago, when I was at that conference, I've mentioned this before, but literally, I felt like a piece of poop. Like, literally, I was like, you know what, man? I've failed so many times in my life. There's this big goal that I want, which was, again, the booking 30 speaking gigs in 6 months, and I don't know if I could do it. I know I can, but I don't feel like I'm committed enough to do it. I'm going to make too many excuses, and I'm not strong enough to do it. I know I'm capable. I just don't feel like I'm responsible and strong enough to push through all the pain and the rejections and things like that. And I started beating myself up. That Felicia was there. I noticed it. I'm like, all right, Felicia, all right, you know what? I'm going to try ignoring you. Why are you still here? I just said I'm going to try to ignore you. And it was so hard for me to push myself to let that go. And guess what? I in that moment, I couldn't do it myself. I gave up on trying to let go of that negative voice, that Felicia. And instead, thankfully, what helped me was some guy noticed that I was kind of, something was off. He's like, hey, Richard, is everything okay? And he was a coach, and he coached me through this whole process. And I like literally, I was so resistant. I didn't even want to listen to him. I'm like, yeah, okay, I know you want me to change my life, do something about it. I'm not in the mood to do that right now. I don't want to do that. So, what did I do? I kind of like tried to barely talk to him, but he was persistent. He kept pushing me. He's like, okay, so what's this about? And eventually, I always thought I'd be that receptive person, but I was still being resistant. Eventually I'm like, you know what, Richard, like, you get to do this. That's just, if you don't figure this out now, you're going to procrastinate and maybe not ever figure it out. So work on it, try to push yourself to get past it right now. And I pushed myself. And, in that moment, it was amazing. After a 30-minute conversation, Felicia just went away. It was gone. It was, that negative voice was no longer there. So, yeah, my point is that, like, we got to control that negative voice and focus on the positive one. Okay. So that's how we improve it. Rich De La Fuente, like, if you got more questions, just let me know. Like, this is such a deep conversation that can go deeper and deeper and deeper, and it gets really tricky. So, again, just let me know what your thoughts are. Is what I'm saying landing for you, or do we need to go deeper? Are you confused? Just let me know. Like, let's have a conversation. If you wanna hop on a call, let's hop on a call. Let's do it. Let's figure this stuff out. All right. Give me a second. I'm going to set up, I just restarted my computer, and I'm going to set up Facebook Live again. So everyone just got disconnected on the Facebook Live. Let's see. All right. So while this is loading, I'm going to continue on this conversation. And yeah, let's see. Hi, Richard. The internet kept dropping, so I had to leave. Thanks for being wise. Okay. Let's see. Just Being says, how many types... Hold on. This looks like a good question. So I'm going to read it right now. How many types of depression are there? I know there is mood disorder one, and there is one where one is depressed because of their life situations. Let's see. Okay, so... Honestly, I don't know all the different types of depression. That's a great question. I would just Google it. I'm not a depression expert. I'm a very non-scholarly source of information, and I think there is, I provide a real life version of education, if that makes sense. Like I'm more on the emotional side, general life experience, as opposed to like diagnosing things and knowing all the psychological terms and psychology terms and things like that. So yeah, that's a little bit of my strengths, and I choose to kind of stay in that lane. However, I'm also working on slowly educating myself on the more technical, specific medical side. Okay, so which one did you have? If you're talking to me, just being, I don't know what I had. I felt depressed. Like I don't know the specifics around it. So yeah, sorry. That's all I got. Okay, so holy goodness, my computer is just dying. You said I was depressed. You said you were depressed. Yes, yes, yeah. So I've been. I don't know how to say this. If I'm being completely honest, I can't say I was clinically diagnosed with depression. But just based off what I see, I don't know if this invalidates depression, but like based off what I know about depression, I definitely felt depressed and had moments of depression. So that's I don't know if you could try taking that away from me. I don't really care. It's like I know that I went through a really tough time where I lost hope in my life, and points of times where I wanted to kill myself. So that's a very open thing to say, but there we go. Wow, this whole time, these past 5 minutes, it's still loading. Yeah, computer is taking its sweet time. But that's okay. All right, so it is. We just passed the hour mark, and I don't know. I don't think at this point I'm going to turn on the Facebook Live. But for us friends on YouTube, which is honestly the main channel, this is the one I really focus on because y'all are great and you ask really great questions. Let's. I'm going to wrap this up before I head off. Do I want to go live? You know what? I'm going to go live here. Part 2. Okay, so please forgive me. We are going to do this right now. Right now. Add title for your live bot. What does that mean? Is that it? Okay. Let's do this. Okay. Are you ready? We're hopping on live. All right. Hello, Facebook. This is attempt number 2. My computer froze. Please forgive me. And we are resuming the Facebook Live. I'm pretty sure everyone already dropped off from the old stream, and I don't know who's going to hop on. But we're going to continue the conversation. We just wrapped up talking about overcoming social anxiety and depression. So honestly, if you're just tuning in right now, we're just going to wrap up some Q&A and maybe do some announcements and things like that. I got some pretty cool things going on. So I will announce them in just a second. Again, this is the last stream before Christmas, so that's where we're going to be at. All right, so let's continue this conversation. Steels NBA says, can you see this? YouTube is doing dumb stuff to me and not letting me comment. Yes, I can see it. Yes, it is working, like just being said. Okay, so honestly, in terms of Q&A, we're all caught up in the second. By the way, again, anyone on Facebook, I do apologize. Like literally, my computer just froze, and it took me a good 5 to 10 minutes to restart. So at this point, again, I'm still accepting questions, Q&As. We had a lot of good conversations today. We talked about social anxiety and depression. How do we improve that without medication? We talked about how we can improve that by releasing, letting go, finding an outlet to let go of our negative emotions and express ourselves, whether through journaling, poetry, music. It could be through talking with a friend. Same thing with depression. If you're feeling sad, depressed, like it's very important to feel connected with people and to just let go. And I would say another really important thing that I learned that is super important. If you're feeling, depressed and whatever, shy and are insecure, all that stuff, just that negative energy. One thing that's really going to help you boost your confidence is creating a daily or a weekly schedule, because this is a very action-oriented way to create positive habits on a daily basis and then feel good about yourself, which is going to boost your self-confidence. I want to repeat again. I understand how freaking difficult it can be to write out a schedule and actually do it when you're feeling sad and depressed. I've seen it. And I've experienced it too. Sometimes when we're in our depression and feeling negative, we don't want to do anything. Um, and I remember I was depressed for 6 months, like the first 6 months of this year. I'm using the word depression loosely. I was in a huge slump and depression, thoughts of suicide, that kind of stuff. Didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I felt like life was so miserable. What's the purpose of life? And in those moments, if you can't figure out a way to muster up that energy to, how do I say this, to schedule stuff, to be like, you know what, man, I don't know how to schedule myself. Um, Forgive yourself. Give yourself the space to just be yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. When you start beating yourself up, you're going to feel more sad and depressed about yourself. And honestly, it is a okay to feel depressed. It is a okay to have human emotions. So give yourself permission to feel sad and things like that. Express yourself. Now, when you are ready, if you're feeling depressed and you're ready to take a little bit of action in your life, then start with little baby steps. Start with little things like, you know what, I'm going to start waking up at a normal time today. Just one little thing. Or maybe, you know what, I'm going to go for a 5 minute walk. Or I'm just going to go outside. Or, I'm going to get out of my room for 5 minutes. Whatever it is. Like, when I'm sad, I sit in my room all day, and sometimes, historically in the past, I would just sit and play video games, because it would distract my mind, and I would feel good in the moment, but also feel bad that I'm doing something that I know I shouldn't be doing. But it's honestly what helped me get out of my depression. Part of it was stopping bad habits. Video games was one of them for me. I was really addicted to video games, so I knew if I stopped playing video games, it would give me the opportunity to A, feel better about myself, and B, create space to focus on other things. Because if I was playing video games, let's say, I don't know, 10, 12 hours a day back in the day, um, I didn't have time to think about how to improve my life. I was just focused on distracting myself. But once I let go of those video games, I had more time to think. And it was a struggle to be like, oh man, I really want to reinstall League of Legends. I really want to play video games again. And then kind of like, nope, Richard, like you get to focus. And then guess what? Sometimes I would go back to playing video games because it's all I know how to do, and I just want to escape, and I don't want to deal with my problems. That's okay. Accept yourself, let it be. It's okay. Okay, so that's what I have in social anxiety and depression. I see a huge stream of comments coming in right now, so let's get on top of this and let's do this. Alrighty, let's see. Okay, Tangerine Love says, stupid question, but how would you get over a one-sided love? First of all, completely not a stupid question. That's an excellent question. Let's see. And you can call me Yumi instead of Tangerine Love. All right, Yumi. Please forgive me if I forget that, especially because we're not streaming for the next 3 days. I mean, I love Tangerine Love too. That's a cool name. But Yumi. So how do we get over a one-sided love? Let's see. If it's one-sided love and you are pretty certain, like, this other person doesn't like you and you've already established that and all that kind of stuff, there's a few things you can do. Number one is, there's like this, I don't know if you've heard the, like, what is it, the 4 or the 5 stages of grieving. And it's this whole cycle. I don't remember the exact things, but it's like, you start with like disbelief, like this, you can't believe this has actually happened. And then the next thing is, whatever, like acceptance. And then, third is like you move on, something like that. This usually applies for people who, pass away and people are really sad. But I feel like it could also be applied to this same situation when it's a one-sided relationship where you like or love this other person, but they don't return the same feelings to you. There's a few things that I like. I love this question in a few different ways. Number one is know that if someone doesn't like or love you back, if someone doesn't return the feelings, don't take it personally. It's nothing personal. It's just their values don't line up in the way that that they end up liking you back or loving you. It is what it is. We are all human beings. We all have the right to whatever, like and love and be interested in different people. And it does not mean you're any worse than anyone. It doesn't make you any less. It just means they have different preferences. And I think when we learn to accept other people and be like, hey, I respect that you have your own preferences, it relieves a little bit of a burden, because we feel, part of the reason we feel like this attachment is like we want that validation. You know, we want to know that someone cares about us. And Yumi, what I want to let you know is that you are perfect the way you are. And I know that sounds super cliche and cheesy, but really, like when you understand you are good enough already, you don't need to change yourself. You don't need to be accepted or loved by anyone else. Just know when you are your true self, you will attract that love. You know, you will attract that those people crawling all over you type of thing. You know, maybe not everyone, but I'm just saying, like, you'll attract. There are people that are going to be attracted to you. I think that's just, in my opinion, kind of like the law of nature. I just made that up, but yeah. So that's one of many different ideas and strategies and thoughts. Let's talk about probably the ones that you care more about. So, Yumi, how do we deal with one-sided love? You know, we're constantly thinking about this other person. It's stressful. It makes us sad. It's, you know, causes anxiety. We feel heartbroken. So how do we move forward from it? So one thing, when I had a huge one-sided crush on the biggest crush of my whole entire life, one of my best friends back in high school, I was so devastated. I was so depressed. You know, one of the most depressing years of my whole entire life. Super, super emo. What helped me get over it was one, just acceptance that, you know, like I just said, that she didn't like me. I'm like, you know what, it is what it is. She has the freedom to like whoever she wants to like. You know, so I can't control that. That's human nature. That's number one. Number two is, again, this is my best friend that I had a crush on. So I used to see her 6 days a week, you know, sometimes even 7 days a week. And during that period of like trying to get over her, I knew, even though she's my best friend, I knew I had to create space between us. For me, not you know, for her, but for me. I knew that because I knew she didn't like me, I knew that I had to get over it, and I had to push myself, and that just meant, like, you know, hanging out with other friends. I would see her once in a while. You know, conversation would be super awkward, and we didn't talk a lot during that period of awkwardness. And you know, when she found out that I liked her, but I just tried to create that space and didn't try to let go of that attachment to her. What else? Number three, you've probably heard this one already, but if you have one-sided love and you're getting super distracted by this person, continue to keep yourself busy. Hang out with friends, you know, have different conversations. Try not to keep thinking about this one, your love, Yumi, and just focus outward. Focus on the other things in your life. I get it; it's tough, and there's a part of you that just wants to focus on, oh man, I feel so sad about this person and all that stuff. The reason why mentally we enjoy thinking about this person, even though it's painful, is because I think there's something very satisfying about being a victim of our stories. And when we feel sad, like, oh man, you know, I'm in such a tough situation, we feel sorry for ourselves. And when we feel sorry, it's comforting. It's comforting. It's like, oh, you know, like us to ourselves. It's like, hey, there, like it's okay. You know, you're going through such a tough time. You know, it's comforting. But if you want to move forward from it, you know, we get to move forward and just take responsibility and just say, you know what, it's time to move forward. You know, I get to stop focusing on this so much and focus on my own life. Because honestly, Yumi, when we focus on our own lives, when we focus on being a better person, we are, one, going to have more self-confidence, and two, we're going to attract more people, and three, how do I say this? Like, we're going to understand our own value, and we're going to understand that, you know, like, we're better than that. Like, we can attract other people. I know a lot of times we fantasize about having this, like, you know, he or she was the one, you know, that was, there's like nobody else in the world but this one person. And I'm going to give my opinion here. I don't think there's only one. I think there are plenty of fish in the sea. What an annoying phrase to say, especially for people who are looking for relationships. But yes, there are plenty of fish in the sea. You know, there are massively many opportunities, and I'm just gonna throw this little thought out there because I know there's a lot of people who don't feel like they can match with a lot of people. They feel like, you know, I'm kind of like a very eccentric person. I don't feel like a lot of people understand me. I'm very different, and I just want to say that there are matches out there. I felt the same way. I felt like, you know what, it's so hard to find people. I was looking for 9 years, went on over 50 different dates with 50 different people, and pretty much they didn't work out. And I would just be like, oh man, like this sucks. On freaking every single dating platform, messaging old Facebook friends who I thought were cute and seeing if they want to hang out again and date or whatever. Uh, like I tried everything, and I'm like, why is this not working? And then, but it's okay. Like that's sometimes what we get to do to kind of find our path. And again, I'm gonna be very open with this. I am currently dating someone who is a very good fit, very in alignment. I don't know where this is going. I don't know if we're going to become boyfriend girlfriend. But the point is that I searched for a very long time, and at the least expected moment, I met this person who is very, very much in alignment with who I am. And yeah, so my point in saying that is, it's okay. Like just keep pushing forward. Sorry, I might have gotten into too much detail. I hope that the mindset is on the right path where you're like, yeah. My point is, there's plenty of other fish in the sea, and you'll find that person. And I don't know how to say. You just gotta feel it. You just gotta keep going with the flow and feel it out. And yeah, just keep moving forward. Okay. I hope that was helpful for you, me. Let me know if you have any other questions, and I'll be more than happy to answer. Okay. I don't like being called just being, but I can't change my name. Uh, just being. Let's see. I'm sorry, just being. Please forgive me. I can't remember your actual name. Let me know. Remind me your name. And if you want me to call you that, I'll call you that. Uh, I do want to point out that I don't have the best memory. I really don't. But I will definitely do my best. And just keep in mind. Oh, you already said it. Is it Seamus? Is it Seamus? If it's Seamus, sorry if I'm mispronouncing. Let me know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I will work on remembering that. It doesn't help that we have 3 days off, but I'm going to work on remembering that. Seamus. Okay. Richard says, I can't do none of that. I have a group presentation on Saturday. Goodness. Sorry, Rich. I'm trying to. I don't remember the context of this, why you're saying this. As in, like, I talked about something, minutes ago, but I can't remember how this connects. So, remind me what you can't do because you have group presentations on Saturday. Yeah, thank you. All right. One guild to kill. One guild to kill. I tried to get out. Someone I considered a friend told me to kill myself. That's not very nice. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. Like, it's, goodness. I just want to say, like, life is very fascinating sometimes. It's like, life is I feel like our internal life is so huge. We have an external life, but our internal life is so big. It's like it's such a battle. It's such a war in our minds. And one guild to kill. So you said you had a friend who said go kill yourself. I just want to talk about this for a quick second. So for like if someone told me like, hey Richard, go kill yourself, I'll be like, okay, thanks. Like okay, moving on. Like whatever. Let's move on. But if I was feeling super sad, super depressed and thinking, what is the purpose of life? I'm super miserable. And I had, maybe I had some thoughts of suicide. And someone said, hey, dude, Richard, no one cares about you. Go kill yourself. Um, Unfortunately, in some cases, that little phrase, that negative talk to some people will trigger them, be like, okay, well, someone said I should do it, so maybe I should really do it. And it plants that seed. So my point again is like we live in such a internal war, like battleground where we gotta remember to just I don't know how to say it, it's like not listen to what other people say, not take things personally. So if your friend says go kill yourself, like I don't know, like that's one that's messed up, but I understand it too. Like it's everyone has their own battle. Your friend is going through her own challenges and battles, and like so don't take anything personally is my point. Like if a close person says you suck, I don't like you, whatever, it's nothing is ever personal. If someone says go kill yourself, it's not personal. Don't listen to it. Focus on your mind, and just keep going forward. Like focus on that positivity. Like I feel like I'm like that's such an obvious thing to say, but it's just like seriously sometimes we lose sight of the positives, the joys in life, and we can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And again, I'm just gonna say it again. In June of 2017, this year, that was what 5 months ago. I could not see the light at the end of the tunnel. Literally, my life was miserable, and I didn't understand what the purpose of life was. Like I was like, life is purposeless. It's hopeless. Like, why am I here? And I don't see the light, and I don't know if I'll ever see the light. And what's the point of feeling all this pain? It's whatever. But it's funny because now all I see in my life is light. Like I am at the end of the tunnel. I've gone through the end of the tunnel. I'm like, oh shoot, there's freaking light everywhere. It's like my life is great right now. I'm grateful, and trust me, I have like I don't. There are going to be moments in my life where I feel that sadness, that whatever depression, that going back into that dark tunnel where I don't see light. Um, Not right now. I don't see it coming up, but I know as being a human being, we're going to cycle and go in and out of that. But hopefully, I'll have more control over it and push myself, and lean on other people to help me stay in the light and focus on that because there really is a beautiful life out here. It's wonderful. Like I, I don't know how to say it. Like I can't promise anything. I can't promise anything with life. Besides when you keep pushing through and you keep pushing through, you will find that light and it will be beautiful. And not only that, but I believe the more we struggle in our life, the more beautiful our life becomes. The more you struggle in your life, the more you can see the beauty in everything. You can see the beauty in in the hardships, in the negative stuff. Like I'm grateful even for negative things that happen every single day. I'm grateful. I don't know how to say this. Like I'm grateful when I fail. I'm grateful for the opportunity to learn. I'm grateful for bad weather because it makes me appreciate good weather even more. So it's just having that shifting our mindset to seeing the positives. Okay. All right. Let's go with that. All righty. Let's see what we got here. Onathox. Yeah. What's up, brother? What's up? Okay. Is it awkward or creepy to ask a girl to hang out over Messenger? I'm on school break, so we can't meet up in person beforehand. Um, this is a very subjective question and subjective answer. I don't know enough context. Um, in a way, here's what I'm going to say. If you make it awkward, if you feel awkward, it will be awkward. But if you don't make it awkward, then it won't be awkward. So let's say here, like, I'm going to put myself into the situation. Okay, let's say there's a cute girl and I'm on school break and I want to hang out with her during break time. Um, and let's say I'm very confident with myself. Like I'm just like, you know what, screw it. I don't really care. Whatever, I don't, whatever. So I'm like, hey, yo, Jessica, do you want to hang out? I'm like, hey, are you doing anything this break? Just want to see if you want to hang out. Okay. And she might perceive it awkwardly or she might not. She's like, oh shoot, he's being very straightforward, or she might interpret it as, oh, this, that's kind of awkward. um I don't know how to say it. It's like you can't, if you want to go hang out with someone, do it. Don't worry about what they feel. Just do it, have fun with it. And if she says, oh no thanks, gives a whatever BS excuse or genuine excuse, let it be. Like, okay, cool, thanks, have a good break, whatever. But then if she says yes, great, you get to hang out. So um, I get it. There's risk involved in failing and feeling awkward and stuff like that. I just say go for it. No matter what, if you succeed, you get to freaking hang out with her. If you fail and she says no, then you got to learn from it. You could be like, okay, cool, I'm not going to take it personally, and I'll just move forward. Or if you take it personally, you'll feel a little bit hurt. And honestly, there's no reason to take it personally because nothing is ever personal. But let it be a learning opportunity and just have fun with it. Okay, you got this, bro. You got this. Alrighty. Let's see here. One Guild to Kill says it turns out they were Antifa and I disagreed with him on his politics, so he resented me. Not 100% clear, but that sounds challenging. Okay, so Onathox says, what do you do if your crush is a famous streamer? Okay, hold on. There's a quote that says 99% of your suffering is in your head. Yes. Yes, that sounds like a great quote. I like it. Okay. So let's talk about what do you do if your crush is a famous streamer? you treat them like a human being. You treat them like everyone else. Don't put them on a pedestal. Don't think nobody. I don't want to say this. Most people who want genuine connections don't want to be put on a pedestal. They want to be able to relate with you, and they want to be able to see that you're comfortable. Just having a whatever heart-to-heart conversation, just being casual with them. It puts too much pressure when you put people on a pedestal. Like nobody likes that. However, if you have those genuine, how do I say those genuine fangirling or whatever fanboying moments where you're like, oh my goodness, this person is so amazing. You're a famous streamer, stuff like that, and you feel shy and whatever. It depends. I, like, what I would do if I was fangirling over, a streamer and, I had a crush, but I want to date them and stuff like that. I'll go up to them and I'll be very blunt. I think one of the most attractive things that someone could do is just be very honest, vulnerable, straightforward. So what I would say is, hey, yeah, like I'm just saying, like I love your streams. I'm a huge fan, and I know I'm a little fangirling right now. Just want to make that clear, but I want to get I want to get you to know you more, on for who you truly are, off the stream, because you seem like you have a great personality, and yeah, I just want to get to know you on a real level, and that's all. Like, just be real. And I think people find that really attractive. The fact that you're courageous enough to be vulnerable is, I think, a turn on to a lot of people. So that's what I'm gonna have to say. That's my style. Is it Sheamus or Sheamus? Sheamus. All right, Sheamus. You're gonna have to give me some phonetic translations. Break it down for me. I could say that in many different ways. All right. One guilt kill says they called me and yelled, "Kill yourself" in my ear. That's freaking messed up. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm not talking with them anymore, but it's just really hard to lose a friend like this. Okay. Thanks for the help. Okay. One guilt kill. Let's get to the back. I want to get back to this conversation. So, what I'm gonna say, I already know enough of the situation that, how do I say this? The person who said, your friend, your ex-friend, whatever you want to say, who said go kill yourself, honestly, that is a very immature thing to say on their behalf. Like, I'm not trying to disrespect them or anything, but it's like, if someone gets to the point where they say go kill yourself, it means that they don't have, in my opinion, they have a hard time keeping their emotions and their, like, how to, like, being in control of their emotions. Like, I don't think anyone should ever say go kill yourself. Like, that's just, I mean, and if you said that, like, it's no judgment. It isn't. It's just like, if anyone ever says go kill yourself, it really, to me, just means you get to continue working on yourself. You get to control your emotions, because nobody ever deserves to say go kill yourself, whatever it is, stuff like that. So, and I don't know how to say this. It's like, I feel like relationship problems are rooted in the individuals. So, in this case, your relationship with your friend is not, the problem is not like with each other. It's not the other person's fault. It's not your friend's fault. It's not your fault. It's your own fault. It's whatever, her own fault or his own fault, that he or she did not know how to manage his emotions, and hasn't worked through the problems. And it's a life journey. People are always trying to figure out and better themselves. So I don't judge in that way either. Okay. Alrighty. Let's see. Onathox says, thanks. No, but like the streamer doesn't know me. LMAO. She's a famous streamer, so she never reads messages over 600K. That's a huge number, and that's okay. Like, I don't know. Are you gonna see her? Like, do you live near her, or like what is it like? I don't know. Like, if someone is that popular, they have a lot of followers. Honestly, I feel like the best way to let's say your goal is to get a date with her. The best way you could do it is by continuing to admire what she does, continuing to show up, and just authentically, like, engage with her, and, I don't know, like, send her relevant emails or comments, or, make a video, whatever, a fan video or something, like, get her attention in some way. And and not, I don't know how to say this, like, get her attention in the way that's like, as a fan versus as I have a huge crush on you type of thing, because that, if you approach it in a sense of I have a huge crush on you, um, that could come off very creepy, and girls and guys can read in between the lines, like they could sense that awkwardness. So come off as a fan. You don't need a super soccer or whatever, but whatever, like, I don't know, maybe it's creating a video and sending it to her via email or whatever it is. But figure out a way to get her attention if you really want to go for this. Uh, oh, Pokimane. Yeah, I know her. Yeah, she's cute. She's cute. Um, that's funny. Like, Onatox, I don't remember where you live. Sorry about that. But, like, I mean, Pokimane is in LA. And it's funny because I've watched her stream before. And I'm like, oh, Montreal, so you're very far. Like, what do you want to do with this? Like, are you trying to set up a date or something? Like, do you want to talk to her? Like, what is it? We're getting into a little bit of fantasy land here. Like, uh, you gotta give me some context, man. Like, it's funny because I've watched Pokemon mainstream. I've watched the streaming house, what, the Scara and Lily Pichu, all this stuff. Yeah, I know this stuff, right? Because I'm into League and stuff. I've watched them. I'm like, hey, you know what's really funny? Like, this is a complete aside, but I'm like, I would not be surprised if I could be friends with them. It's just like, I mean, they're locals. They're in LA. I'm sure. Oh no, ooh, I have friends. That's funny. I just realized I have mutual friends with, I think, I have friends with Lily Pichu. Like, that's funny. Like, that's so funny. That's why I thought about that. I'm like, ooh, wow, I got mutual friends, so I can hang out there. Probably, hang out with them, whatever. Anyway, they're just normal people. So, yeah, I don't know what you want to do with that. So, whatever, you got to be more specific. Okay, cool. Anyway, that's enough. We had fun. If you want to have more conversations, we can. But honestly, on a thoughts, that is, I'm gonna borderline. I know you're not trying to troll, but borderline getting there, because you gotta. What is your goal? What is your goal? Okay, so we are going to wrap up. We had a good hour and a half conversation. For anyone who is on Facebook, by the way, if you're not seeing the comments, it's because we're streaming on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. Love to all of you on Facebook. Love to all of you on YouTube. And I love doing the dual stream because we get like double comments and stuff like that, which is super cool. What do I have to say here before we wrap up? Again, we will not be streaming for 3 days because of Christmas. So I'll be hanging out with family and friends. We will stream again on, December 26th, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is Tuesday, here in California. And before I hop off, I want to talk. I know I mentioned this already, and if this bores you, then you could sign off. I won't be offended. But so I've been talking a lot about this whole challenge idea, like, oh, I want to create this challenge to help people, whatever, be more confident, stuff like that. So originally it was going to be a 15-day challenge, and I'm gonna be very honest with you. I'm still working on planning it. So what I realized is, I'm actually January 1st, the month of January is going to be the beta group. Like, literally, if you want to hop in, like, this is that time where we're gonna experiment, test things out, and we're gonna have fun. So let me give you a quick breakdown, and I don't think this is gonna be boring. I think this is really cool. So, like, this all started with a tiny little idea to, like, let's make a tiny little difference in people's lives, and then I started thinking more and more. I'm like, screw that. Like, let's freaking make a system that is actually going to make possibly a change in someone's life. So pretty much how this is going to be structured is, every single month there is going to be it's going to be a monthly challenge. And throughout the month, like, I'm already giving you all this information before I finalize it. The goal is, like, in every, let's say the month of January, if you just do the challenge for 1 month, or whatever, hop in halfway through it. It doesn't even matter. My goal and my intention is that you break bad habits that you have. Habits that just make you feel bad. Maybe it's eating unhealthy, not exercising, playing too many video games, watching too much Netflix, whatever it is, watching porn, like anything. Sorry for laughing at that. Like that's not whatever. So break bad habits and then start creating positive habits. So that could be exercising more, eating healthier. That could be waking up at a certain time, doing gratitude, like whatever it is. Like the goal of the challenge is to create an environment, and I got a lot of ideas for this. To create an environment where we are pushing ourselves to become better people, break bad habits, create good habits, and when we break bad habits, create good habits, like that is, I believe that's going to be life changing. Like that's that little bit, just choosing to shift our habits is going to be life changing. So again, January 1st is when the first month of challenge is going to start. Along the whole entire month, there's also going to be these little challenges. I'm planning to have little breakout groups as well. This is, let's see, I don't want to discourage anyone, but I'm thinking about using Messenger and Facebook groups as the communication source. I'm sorry, my YouTube friends, if you're not really active on Facebook. Like, I've thought about Snapchat, I've thought about Instagram, I thought about YouTube, Facebook, and out of all the social media platforms, Facebook just has the best way of communicating. I'm gonna try to make it as easy as possible, and so I invite you, January 1st to just join me to like just be part of this challenge. Like, it's the point is you're gonna break bad habits and create new habits and possibly just change your life and start living life in a very positive way. Like, you're gonna start living life in alignment with who you truly want to be. And like, I don't know, like, the more I plan, like, I've been thinking about this every single day. The more I think about it, the more the ideas shift and I have more conversations. I'm talking to Faye. Faye's, someone, who's been on watching these live streams lately. So, yeah. So, like, please join me. Like, it'll be so much fun to connect with you, and we'll be able to, whatever, if you want to go face to face, you can go, see each other, and I'll be part of this process, and we'll support each other. We'll support each other. I'll join too. I'll do the challenge, and I think it's just a really fun opportunity to maybe possibly make a difference in our lives. Like, imagine if you just started, losing a lot of weight. If you want to lose weight, you started being healthier. You started feeling more confident in yourself. Imagine if you started feeling less depressed, less social anxiety. So, like, literally, these are some of the things that I really want to focus on breaking through. And like, I really want to create this environment and make it happen. So I invite you to join me January 1st. I'll be talking more about it during live streams. And if, again, I'm trying to figure this out. If you have any thoughts or if you want to contribute to the structure and, like, help me brainstorm this, I would love feedback. Like, I have a structure in mind already, but I would love to hang out with you for, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes, 1 hour, and just talk. Let's brainstorm. How do we make this better for you? Literally, whoever is helping me brainstorm is literally whoever is helping me create this program or this challenge. And if you choose to work with me in the next 10 days before January 1st, I believe this program is going to help you on an even deeper level because it's catered towards you specifically. So that's what I have, okay? So help out before January 1st by helping me doing brainstorm. You could be a advisor of mine, or just help me give feedback. Or January 1st is when we start, and you can join us for the challenges. Okay, so it's exciting. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm excited. Okay, that's what I have there. I see some comments, so I'm gonna read these comments and let's go. So Anathok says, "Sorry if it seemed like trolling. I was kind of fanboying." Perfect. That's super cool. What will be said in the groups? So every single day we're gonna have some sort of accountability. We're gonna have, like, little, I don't say, like, just questions of, like, what did, for example, I haven't solidified this, but it'll be something like, okay, so you had your challenges today. You created your own schedule. You created what time you're gonna possibly wake up or sleep, or what you're gonna eat. What worked well for you? What didn't work well for you, and what could you improve? And what are some things you're grateful for? And then we're just gonna share that kind of stuff. There's more details about this, and again, please support me and contribute whatever thoughts that you have. And I'd love to work together to, like, really build this up so it's, like, impactful and life changing. Okay, that's kind of my commitment. Okay, Rich Delfonte says you won't be on YouTube. If you're asking if I'll be on YouTube for the next 3 days, I will not be on YouTube for the next 3 days because I'll be enjoying my holiday parties. I got three of them back to back to back, friends and families. Okay, Vortex GF says, where do we get more information of the challenge? Really, I just told you everything that there is about the challenge. Goodness, I get to be more organized here. So if you want to learn more about the challenge, because it's already going to be on Facebook, Vortex GF, do me a favor and shoot me a message request on Facebook. Uh, let's see. So you can find it. It's connected on my YouTube, like under that link section. It's the same thing. It's facebook.com/, Richard KUO live. Okay, so that's my, or just shoot me an email, whatever. Just shoot me a message and I'll get you connected with that. Okay. Let's see. MB says, "What if you don't have a Facebook account? I would prefer not to have one." So this is a little bit of a challenge. So MB, there's two things I'm kind of working on. Number one, I would, I get it. I totally understood the fact that not everyone wants to be on Facebook. I get that. I'm still going to choose to use Facebook because I just feel like that's the best platform to use because a lot of people are on it already, and it's such an organized way to do things. So I mean, I don't know if you're up for it. You could either create a secondary account, for this, or um, you might be able to get away of just using Messenger. So Messenger is not Facebook. Messenger is just Messenger. You could just create a separate Messenger account. And by the way, this is a little bit of a life hack. If you don't like using Facebook and you don't really want to use it, but you want to check your messages, you don't have to go to facebook.com. You can go to Messenger, like messenger.com if you're using a computer. But honestly, all you are probably using mobile, so just use the Messenger app. I have a feeling you'll be able to get away with just using the Messenger app, okay? So MB, that's what I have for you. If you don't want to use Facebook, please at least consider using Messenger, which I think should be okay. You let me know, okay? So that's my plan for that. All right, Richard, no, thank you. I don't understand. What do you mean by that? No, thank you. Please clarify. I'm sorry, I'm not clear. Onatech says, so it creates the accountability aspect of goal setting. Yes, I want to create some sort of accountability, and I'm telling you like almost too much information. This is very behind the scenes and not fully developed, but my goal is to have like community leaders, like I don't know, volunteers, anyone who might want to just be like, hey, I'm interested in kind of being a leader of one of the Facebook groups or the messenger groups, and kind of leading and making sure that everyone's on track, and helping people out. And of course I'll be there by your side supporting you as well. And I want to create some kind of like fun perks, and I don't know, maybe I'll create some swag and stuff, and it'll be have a fun time. I want to make this fun. I want to make this like fun and challenging fun, and something that we all want to do on a monthly basis. It's something that's not like a drag, like, oh man, I guess I'll do this. Like, I want to make it fun. So that's why I need your help, because you are the one who are using this challenge. So I need to know what you want. So there we go. Okay, MB says, okay, I understand. Thank you so much. MB, please shoot me a message. Like, I would love for you to be a part of this. Like anyone who's on, I feel like the best people on this challenge are going to be the people who are on right now, on these live streams, because you all are committed and dedicated to being on these live streams. So yes, that's what I have. All right, cool. Hey everyone, thank you so much for hopping on. And I know the stream was a bit long. I hope you enjoyed it. Well, I guess it's fair because this is the last stream we're gonna have for the next 3 days. I'm going to be off for 3 more days. I'll see you December, the day after Christmas, so December 26th, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas if you celebrate it. If not, happy holidays, and yeah, enjoy the next 3 days. All right. And on the talks, we can talk more about Pokemon, whatever. By the way, if you wanna connect with me on a personal level, the best way to reach me is Facebook, or I'm just gonna call it Messenger. If you want to have conversations, like I use Facebook Messenger, so Like I am happy to have conversations. Although what I'll say is I try not to waste too much time around uh, like just kind of those side conversations. Pokemon we can talk about a little bit, but like I'm very focused with like impact and self esteem. How do I create impact? And I try to keep myself very busy and focused with that. So if you have more questions about that stuff, I would love to talk about it. But happy to connect regardless. Okay. Hey everyone, thank you so much for hopping on, and